be on camera if he's going to be present. But I have quorum.
Good to go. Thanks, Lord Mayor.
Good. Thank you. Members, I declare the special meeting of Council of Tuesday the 30th of June open. I advise that the special meeting of Council will be streamed live to the City of Adelaide website, and a recording will also be published to the internet. Please note that an audio and visual recording is being taken of this meeting. This means that your presence at and any contribution you make to the meeting may be collected, used, disclosed or published publicly by the Council, including transfer outside of Australia. Acknowledgement of country. Council acknowledges that we're meeting on the traditional country of the Kaurna people of the Adelaide Plains and pays respects to elders past and present. We recognise and respect their cultural heritage, beliefs and relationship with the land, and acknowledge that they're of continuing importance to the Kaurna people living today. We also extend that respect to other Aboriginal language groups and other First Nations who may be with us today. Item number 2 is apologies and leaves of absence. I have received no apologies or leave of absence. Members, that takes us to item 3 on the report. Item 3.1 is the 2021 draft business plan and budget for public consideration. And I will look for a mover. Thank you, Councillor Khera. Councillor Mackie, I need your electronic hand to move. So I had Councillor Khera followed by Councillor Knoll. Sorry, Councillor Mackie, I saw your physical hand, but I had the window over the top of you. So I'll go to Councillor Khera first. Councillor Khera, did you wish to speak?
Reserve my right, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Knoll, did you wish to speak?
Also reserve.
Thank you. Councillor Mackie.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Noting that the primary purpose of this evening's motions are to approve the draft for public consultation, and recognising that it will come back therefore to Council for consideration, including an overview of the comments. I have exhaustively gone through this, as it's my first one in a long time, and I've got a lot of questions which I'm not going to bore everybody with this evening in the meeting, but I will share those with the acting Chief Executive and seek for some clarification on points that they're not really of great substance. And I have a couple of minor observations regarding little bits of wording, which again, I'm happy to deal with offline, but for the purposes of the budget process, I support its advancement to public consultation.
Thank you, Councillor Mackie. And of course, we do have plenty of time as we do the public consultation, and it will come back in several times before we go to the final budget. So we do have some more time to ask questions of the administration and the acting CEO. I'll go to Councillor Simms and then Councillor Martin. Councillor Simms.
Thanks, Lord Mayor. And I just wanted to start by thanking administration for the work on this, in particular to Director Mockler and her team. So I imagine this has been a pretty stressful thing to pull together at the moment. So thank you very much for that. I just wanted to ask some questions about the consultation framework and where we go from here, and how we're going to be managing the consultation in light of some of the restrictions still being placed on face-to-face contact and so on. Are you able to provide a bit more information about that, Acting CEO?
Now, just check. There we go.
Thank you. Thank you for the question, Councillor Simms. We're doing our traditional approach through Your Say website, so the majority of that is done online, and being mindful of wanting for the first time to ask our community some more detailed questions around services and what they value. we're trialling a different model on our Your Say website to garner some more in-depth information to help inform council members' decisions around services. So we're focusing on doing the statutory components, but as well making sure that we engage as broadly and as deeply as possible through our online mechanisms and through direct mail to those groups that we know share an interest in understanding what council's priorities are next year.
Thank you. So has there been any particular key segments or cohorts that are identified for particular engagement?
Yeah, so through the strategic plan, we made a real sort of concerted effort to engage with cohorts that we don't normally hear from. And so we want to build on those relationships and connections that we made a few months ago when we did our engagement on the strategic plan. So that was in particular entrepreneurs and the group across the city that's been growing over the last couple of years that we don't traditionally engage with, and also young people. So we worked alongside CARCLU to engage and hear the voices of young people. So we'll continue to use those connections as well.
Great. Yeah, thank you. That's really helpful. And I guess from my perspective too, really important that we engage with older residents too through other means other than the online, because of course a lot of them, I've had feedback before that they don't necessarily use the Your Say website or have had difficulty accessing that. So anything that we can do to improve their opportunity to have input would be great as well.
Yeah, so we make sure that we have information in the areas that we know older people who struggle using Your Say visit, so our libraries and community centres, and we make sure that we have hard copy documents as well as feedback forms in those locations.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Simms. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Look, as this is going out to public consultation, I just want to note that I'm a bit disappointed at the extent to which COVID-19 is blamed for the budget circumstances at page 6, more fulsomely at page 26, and then right throughout the document. When I would argue that the biggest impact on council's finances has been undisciplined financial management. Which goes back to the beginning of when Team Adelaide started taking control of this council.
Councillor.
Well, Lord Mayor, look, we've accumulated
decisions of council.
Lord Mayor, I don't dispute that Team Adelaide has the majority vote on council, and since it's been running the ship, we've accumulated $60 million in operating deficits. That is $60 million more than we had to run the ship. We have spent propping up day-to-day operations. And so in terms of financial impact on the city's finances, COVID-19's impact is minuscule compared to the virus known as Team Adelaide. And look, you don't have to believe me. If you go to point 2, you see that one of our goals is to cut back that annual $20 million overspend, that annual $20 million undisciplined spend. So I am grateful, by the way, Lord Mayor, I do want to express my gratitude to councillors, except the Lord Mayor, Deputy Lord Mayor rather, who voted to freeze fees and charges for the coming financial year. That was a great move, and I acknowledge that. What I would like to see the community coming out to tell us is what they really think of this document. I'd argue the cruel way in which we have insisted that community organisations, church groups, multicultural groups have had to endure a cut from 3-year to 1-year funding, causing a lot of inconvenience and a lot of uncertainty. I'd like to hear what they think in the consultation. I'd like to hear what the community thinks about the real reduction in dollar terms that we're allocating to the Dunstan Foundation to fight homelessness. Same goes for sporting groups. I want feedback also on what it is people think about this City Connector service that this council was so willing to accept cuts in, which I'm delighted to say, Lord Mayor, today have been reversed temporarily till December, in something I know that was a bit humiliating for the Minister for Transport, but we are grateful. I want to hear from arts groups like the Fringe and Festival, who've had their funding cut in real terms because they've not been given any indexation. And Lord Mayor, you'll remember at one of the last civic receptions how the festival artistic directors pleaded with you in that packed Queen Adelaide room to restore that funding. I want to know what those groups think. I'd like to know also what people think about the City Council spending in these difficult times.
Councillor, just on, we have still put CPI on. Sorry, Councillor. If I could just clarify, we have indexed by CPI.
Thank you to the administration. And Lord Mayor, again, I thank you for opening other people's microphones to interrupt me. A courtesy I know that you extend to all, except to me, apparently. I want to hear from the community too about our failure to deliver an outcome on 88 O'Connell Street. Why isn't that done? It's the 30th of June, 2020. I want North Adelaide also to tell us what they think about when they review pages 56 to 59 and see just how few North Adelaide projects there are in the Projects Council's undertaking. I want to hear from precinct groups who've been denied a seat in the citywide business model that's funded here and referred to. Look, Lord Mayor, this is a budget that the community does need to have a say in. I especially want to hear from small business to whom we are unable to extend any real financial assistance in the way of rate waivers because of that undisciplined spend, that constant not meeting budget and ending up in debt. It is a budget of more deficits, more borrowings, and few explanations, I've got to say. Having a look at the long-term financial plan, I just can't see where the money's being paid back, what's going to happen in the future. It's certainly something, Lord Mayor, that I think our community should be participating in and contributing and raising these issues so that they're brought to your notice and to the notice of all elected members.
Deputy Lord Mayor.
Well, thanks, Lord Mayor. I mean, obviously there were too many misrepresentations and mistruths in there to address them all. Of course, I need to remind Councillor Martin that he was a member of the council when it started running deficits, when it continued to run deficits during the last term. I don't see any reports of him arcing up. Then, of course, this current council has only approved in its entirety one budget. This budget before us is the second budget that we are approving. And I'm very glad that throughout this document, it consistently refers to the outcome of the motion that I successfully put and this council supported, which was that we will find $20 million in operational savings. That's factored into our long-term financial plan, which has us, by the way, Councillor Martin, returning to surplus in the coming years, and it has us paying down debt. In no small part because of that saving, which the administration has been directed to find. That saving is the single biggest saving ever in this council's history. And that will be what returns us to surplus. That will be what returns our books to the black and makes sure that we are able to fund the critical services and the critical infrastructure that the city will need over the coming years to grow and prosper again. It's going to be what funds all the magnificent policy ideas which have been brought by councillors such as Councillor Kouros, Councillor Noel, Councillor Abrahimzadeh, Councillor Kira, and Councillor Ho. All the wonderful ideas that they've brought to the table will only be possible because we are tightening our belt, living within our means. And of course, this is the foundational block of that, this original budget. Absolutely, as other councillors have said, there are improvements that perhaps can be made to it. And I'm very keen to hear what the community has to say about it. I'm very excited to see funding in there for the Hutt Street Cultural Hub. I think it's desperately needed. Similarly, very pleased to see monies budgeted for progressing at pace the 88 O'Connell work that the council is doing there. And I'm sure everyone will be very, very excited when that comes to fruition. So look, I think overall it's a very, very good document. I think it delivers for everyone in the City of Adelaide, in North Adelaide, and I note that the Kingston Terrace stormwater brought by Councillor Couros, fixing that very much core issue for council, has been included in the document, and I'd like to pay accolades to Councillor Couros for fixing that issue, or laying down the groundwork that will fix that issue, which gives those residents along there no end of grief whenever it rains. So I think there's something in there for everyone. In this budget, very keen to see the outcome of the savings that the administration will find. And again, want to take my hat off and echo Councillor Simms' positive remarks on our acting CEO and as well all the directors and associate directors who've been working under incredibly difficult circumstances to pull all this together. Look, we're dealing with very difficult times here. There undoubtedly will be a little bit of pain in some areas and for the administration, but really I think this budget is more so about gain. It's about gain in the short term and in the long term. So I just want to thank you for the work, and very excited to see what the community has to say about it.
Thank you. I have Councillor Knoll.
Yes, thank you very much, Lord Mayor. And also thank you very much to Deputy Lord Mayor Hyde, who went through a lot of my thoughts. But just again to reiterate, I mean, we've been in council, heading towards 1 3/4 years. We are a product of the previous generations of councils, and we are in a situation where we've had major impacts in health and on our budgets, etc. And I think it is a bit disingenuous to bundle it all into a 15-minute that we've been here for a while, and we can be blamed for everything. And I'm sure that we who are fiscally responsible will look towards gently taking us as possible, bringing us out of this problem that we're in, and using our balance sheet to be able to kickstart our economy. And that's what we're trying to do in part. I mean, obviously it's been made harder, and we're starting from a much lower base. So our organisation needs to survive, and thank you very much to the executive team and all the people that are with them, because they have done an amazing job considering the difficulties. And I'd also like to point out too, I mean, after 30 years, the 88 O'Connell Street, and I am happy with the progress we are making, because at least we are now actually doing something. And I like to think the community does trust us. We've just got money allocated. It is to make a wise decision, and also a very one where we are able to maximise the benefit for our community. A year isn't much when we've waited 30, but it is a lot when you're negotiating and wanting to make sure that you've got the best benefit for the city, and also a sustainable construction. And I look forward to the citywide business model coming through. We are discussing, and I am personally continuously discussing, how we are going to achieve the best mix and the best representation. And I like to think the funds in the budgets, etc., that now enables us to follow through with this, that we in the coming budgets will be able to do a lot more direct and assist business, because we are having that consultation and developing these programs through the ability to have the budget, that we are going to get great outcomes for all stakeholders and ratepayers. So I look forward to that.
Thank you. Councillor Martin, did you have a question?
No, Lord Mayor, I was just waiting for you to open my microphone for a point of clarification. I wanted to address in respect of a remark that came from the wardrobe, rather the Deputy Lord Mayor. And that is that I didn't necessarily agree with any decision of the council faction that you would remember of, Lord Mayor. You'd remember Team Adelaide made those decisions about budget bottom lines that I was not party to, and I still don't accept those decisions. The deficits.
Thank you. That was a question. You've already spoken, Councillor Martin. I'm only taking questions. I will go to Councillor Martin, thank you for using the chat room. If you have points of clarification, members, please use the chat room because I am monitoring other hands going up. I have Councillor Abrahimzadeh to speak.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. First and foremost, I too would like to thank the Deputy CEO, all the directors and the Associate Directors for the wonderful work on the budget papers. Lord Mayor, I don't know whether if it's just, I don't think it is me. I think it's the data and the information that we're getting, but I really do appreciate the way the information is coming through to us. It's a lot easier to understand and a lot easier to digest, so I do appreciate that. Lord Mayor, I just wanted to pick up on a point that a particular councillor made about the way the funding arrangements have been made and all the whinging and whining. Lord Mayor, to be clear, every single one of us as elected members are a part of this so-called problem that Councillor Martin is talking about. But also at the same time, it's important for us to know that every single one of us is also a part of that solution. So if Councillor Martin isn't happy about a particular thing, he can always reach out to any of the elected members or administration, and if he's got ideas or thoughts on a particular item, he can discuss that with us. This is democracy. Numbers do speak, and if there is something that he wants to change, then he's got to do the work. So, Lord Mayor, again, I would like to stress that sure, we're all in this together. We make decisions as a council. We may all be part of the so-called problem, but every single one of us is also part of the solution.
Thank you. I will also remind members that we are endorsing a budget to go to consultation. Councillor Simms, I'm assuming that's a question?
Oh, it's okay, Lord Mayor. It was a point of order from some time ago, but I'll let it go.
Thank you. Again, members, if you have a point of order, please, actually, if you could use the chat, then I can see it.
I can't work out how to send. Sorry, Lord Mayor. Just to clarify, I can't work out when I go to chat, it just says message to Jenny. Is there a way that
then Jenny will let me know. That's all right.
Oh, right.
That goes
okay.
to Jenny. Yeah.
Oh, right. No problems.
Yeah, thank you. I will go to Councillor Moran. Councillor Moran.
Yes, I just want to answer to start with Councillor Abrahimzadeh's comment. We are not all in it together. This is a completely factionalised council. Not one of our motions, less than 1% of not the independence motions have been included or listened to. So this teamwork idea that France puts together, it's not the case. The problem with this council lay in the last council, which was also controlled by Team Adelaide, and they had the foolish expenditure that we didn't agree with it. So to blame Councillor Martin and myself particularly for the ills of the past is completely disingenuous. That council was ruled by Hassan Abiad, and he ruled the budget as well. So don't blame us, the survivors of that era, for what is wrong with this council. I'm unaware of any of the wonderful ideas that have come from Team Adelaide that have, all that could be pointed out was some flood mitigation or drainage in McKinnon Parade, which I wasn't even aware had been put up. 90% of the good ideas that have come to this council in the last 1 3/4 years have not come from Team Adelaide. They've come from the independents and they've been howled down. 88 Connell Street is a disgrace. We still have not told our public what we are doing, even though the Lord Mayor promised it back we would release
Okay,
it.
I've given everybody lots of leeway. We are talking to the motion before us, which is approving the draft business place and budget to actually go to draft consultation. And I actually think if we can please get back to speaking to the motion, it would be much appreciated.
I was going to do that, Lord Mayor, but you allowed your deputy once.
I allowed several people to talk to that, including Councillor Martin.
And he named everybody in Team Adelaide and thanked them and then criticised the independents. So I'm sorry, that horse has bolted. You have allowed your team.
Thank you. We are talking to the budget. I'm actually going back to the business before us, Councillor Moran.
Talk over the 19 members. The last council put this, and this council in a perilous financial position. I would say
Thank
that
you,
COVID
Councillor.
has saved this council from being incredibly embarrassed. We were talking about raising our debt level, smashing our prudential limit long before COVID hit us. We were in trouble before. This is hiding and masking the profligate way we have spent money. 88 O'Connell Street front is not something that's going to save us and wonderful. If it is, why don't we release the plans tomorrow? If there are indeed still plans.
We haven't released the plans, Councillor, because as you members all know, we're in the final negotiations of the contract, and the contract is finally negotiated. It will come to council and will be released to the public.
Yeah. I don't need your interjections, thank you. It was a point of fact. We have not.
Thank you. I'm the presiding member, Councillor Moran, and I will interject if I wish. Now, I will go to, thank you, that time is up. I will go to the next speaker, which is Councillor Couros. Councillor Couros.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Can you hear me okay? Because I'm not sure if this is working.
Yep.
I cannot believe.
Please speak to the motion, Councillor Couros.
I will, but I just want to state that there's a lot of conspiracy theories, and I'll just say that. I'm grateful to see in the budget that a lot of the things that we have talked about are in there. The master planning is fantastic. We finally, after many years, this council has pushed for master planning for O'Connell Street and Melbourne Street and Hutt Street. It's so important for our businesses and our small businesses to get that master planning underway. So I'm so glad that we've got that in the budget. We've got Jeff Scott Street Stage 2 in there. We've got Kingston Terrace, which I'm very grateful for, and obviously the continuation of the upgrade happening in Denise Norton Park in the Prospect Road end there. I think overall it captured a lot of the things that the council has we've been talking about. I believe that there has been, yes, a lot of cutbacks, and a lot of them have been in light of the uncertainty of COVID, and there is still a lot of uncertainty there. But generally, we have pushed for a lot of the focus to be brought back to the main streets, and that is in this budget. And I do appreciate that we're being heard, and that they're listening to the support given to the businesses as well, and we're incorporating that in the budget as well. And also, I'm sure this will be improved on as we move through COVID and we move through recovery. We have taken a hit as a council, and I think admin have worked very well to be able to move forward to get past this, and hopefully we do recover very well. I do share with Councillor Martin that I do want to hear from a lot of all the different types of groups, and from everybody that he had mentioned. I too would like to hear from them what their thoughts are. I think it's important that we have a broad range of feedback in regards to the feedback, in regards to the budget, and I think it's important that we get a clear understanding that we are all talking the same language in moving forward through this period. So overall, I know this is going out to consultation, and we'll be having another discussion on this again, which is great. I look forward to hearing from the public, and I hope the public do not take on any of the conspiracy theories that were thrown out tonight. And I hope that the public can look at this for what it is and not buy in to the political.
Thank you, Councillor Couros. We're just talking to the motion. I will go to Councillor Khera. Councillor Khera.
Thanks, Lord Mayor. Look, I support this motion. I support this going out for public consultation. I think there's much that's good, much good work has gone into the budget, much good that will come from the proposed budget, the proposed consulting budget. I think there can and will and must be more efficiencies that we will have to find across the upcoming year. I am compelled to say, after hearing the sort of the slurs and the arrows being slung around, I must ask, perhaps rhetorically, who voted for Victoria Square and for Gawler Place? Because
Okay,
that's
Councillor
where
Kira, I'm going to get everybody to
$1 million
continue to speak to the
right
motion.
there. $50 million right
Thank you,
there.
Councillor Kira. Right, members. Again, I would actually echo some of the sentiments that have been spoken tonight about the information being presented so clearly. Thank you very much, Acting CEO and your team. I know there's been an enormous amount of work that has gone into this and all the scenario planning. It is a robust process and I'm looking forward to the public consultation. We are obviously in difficult circumstances and around COVID and our losses of revenue. It's good to see that we're continuing to deliver on all manner of services and our infrastructure requirements. It is also a budget that for the 7th consecutive year is freezing the rates in the dollar, which I think is a huge accolade to this council and the previous one. I thank you for the work done in finding $20 million in operational savings, which means that we will be back to a surplus budget by 2023. Just in response, as I did say, ADO O'Connell is in the final stages of negotiations and we're hoping that we'll bring that through council soon. And I look forward to the feedback from the public, which will feed into the next round. We'll bring all the public consultation back in. A few more rounds of the budget to go before we actually endorse a final budget, which is well ahead of the time frame that we had been allowed as well. I think will be final budget, Acting CEO will be August, I think, is that right? Which we had until November. So that is a great effort by the teams to bring that in that time frame. Members, with that, I will go back to the mover to sum up, which is Councillor Khera. Would you like to sum up, Councillor Khera?
Summed up, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. Members to the vote by hand, those in favour? Those against? That is carried. Deputy Lord Mayor.
Could we have a division on that, Lord Mayor?
Certainly. Thank you, Jenny. A division has been called.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Would all council members in favour please raise your hand and remain raising of your hand until all names have been called. Thank you. Councillor Sims, Councillor Martin, Councillor Abrahimzadeh, Councillor Kira, Councillor Mackie, Councillor Donovan, Councillor Knoll, Councillor Ho, Deputy Lord Mayor, Councillor Couros. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mayor, was that unanimous or Jenny? I missed count.
No, I didn't have
There
Councillor
was
Good.
Councillor Moran. Yep. Thank you, members. That takes us to the fourth item on the agenda with the exclusion to the public. There's one item for us to consider in confidence. I need a mover and a seconder for a motion in order to exclude the public for item 5.1, which is the appointment of chairperson and board members to the Rundle Mall Authority. I have Councillor Martin, are you moving? No. Councillor Abrahimzadeh, seconded by Councillor Knoll. Councillor Abrahimzadeh, did you want to speak?
No, thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Knoll, did you wish to speak? Sorry, I'll actually get you to say that.
No, no reserve.
Thank you. Councillor Martin, did you wish to speak?
Yes, I do, Lord Mayor. And look, I just want to point out to members who will vote to have this matter heard in confidence that there's absolutely no reason for this to be in confidence. The future of the Rundle Mall Management Authority has been debated in open council. These appointments have been announced and are known to be terminating at a particular point in time. And the published agenda makes clear that this is about the appointment of those persons. Why is the matter in confidence? It is just a nonsense.
If that's a question of the administration, I'm happy to ask that question.
Oh, no.
Is it a rhetorical question?
Lord Mayor, it's worse than rhetorical. There is no answer from this council about why matters are held in confidence.
Thank you. Councillor Abrahimzadeh, you raised your hand again? No, sorry, it's just there. I will take it down. Councillor Simms, I have a raised hand.
Thanks, Lord Mayor. I agree with Councillor Martin on this one, and I'd urge members to just carefully think about whether it's necessary for us to put items in confidence. I think, you know, obviously in some circumstances it's very important for us to do so, but each instance needs to be considered on a case-by-case basis. And in this instance, I think it could be discussed openly, and I'd urge members to think about that.
Thank you, Councillor Simms. Councillor Moran, did you wish to speak?
Yes, I agree with the previous speakers. There's no need to do this in confidence. This council's catchphrase seems to be gag when possible, gag the councillors, gag the
Thank
public.
you, Councillor Moran.
Excuse me? I've still got
Thank you. We're actually talking to the motion.
I'm talking about why we are gagging this motion by putting in confidence. And I think I might just lather on for another 2 minutes. Would you like to interrupt now? No? Okay. Well, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Moran. Councillor Couros?
For the purpose of the conspiracy theories, people, can we please have it explained why we are discussing these matters in confidence?
Thank you, Councillor Couros. Acting CEO.
Thank you, through the presiding member. Natures of this matter, where it concerns the personal affairs of individuals, I'm confident that a discussion in confidence is the appropriate way to manage it. It's very clearly set out.
Thank you, Councillor. Acting CEO. Members, I will go back to Councillor Councillor Martin, did you have a question? No. Councillor Abrahimzadeh, to sum up?
Yes, I do have a question, Lord Mayor.
Yes, Councillor.
Yes, the administration advances the argument that this is about personal affairs that can't be heard in public. What is personal about a reappointment of a person to a board where their qualities, their experience, and their remuneration are not even on the table? What is the personal information that cannot be shared here?
I think it's the fact that their names would be on a public report and you'd be discussing in public whether you thought they should or should not, approve the reappointment of these individuals. Simple as that, Councillor.
Yes, Councillor Martin.
Lord Mayor, I am puzzled. Is the administration suggesting to us that there is the option to reject the motion before us and to appoint some individuals other than those named? Is that what's being proposed?
As we know, with any recommendation before us, we have the ability as a council to approve or not approve. So yes, that is absolutely correct. When we go into confidence and discuss this, we have the ability to approve or not approve,
well, Lord Mayor,
as is with all recommendations.
I ask you, Lord Mayor, to come to me then immediately afterwards. I have some good friends I'd like to mention to you.
That sounds really insidious, but I will come to you afterwards if that helps. Where should we meet, Councillor Martin?
Lord Mayor, look, I'm just pointing out the folly of this. I mean, none of us.
Thank you, Councillor. We've heard you. I'm actually going to go back to the mover so that we can move over to the next item on the agenda. I will go to Councillor Abrahimzadeh. Councillor Abrahimzadeh, would you like to sum up?
For the sake of keeping on time, summed up. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Abrahimzadeh. Members, I will go to the vote. Those in favour of moving into confidence, please raise your hand. Thank you, members. Those against? Thank you, members. That is carried. We will now, any